Mr. Chow here. I'm going through Lab 7. This is the calling and writing of methods and also using some of the command line and run arguments. So we'll go ahead and start this by downloading this item here, circledriver.java program. We'll download link file as and save this to our desktop. Everything I'm going to do is in the desktop. You can create a Lab 7 folder if you wanted to. I'm just going to go ahead and for ease of simplicity, go ahead and use this as the desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and load JGrasp, and I'm going to open file here, circledriver.java, and I'm going to go back to my lab. So what we're doing here is we're going to create a new source file called circleplay.java. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we're going to create 4 methods: the print greeting, enter radius, calculate area, and calculate volume. Let's go ahead and do this by going File, New Java. We're going to put this on the desktop as well, so we're going to go public class, and then we'll paste this in. Ooh, it's not the link. Circle play. We'll go ahead and enter that in. Then we'll start the process of grabbing the headers. So this print greeting is the first header we're going to do. We're going to create this header in here. And we're going to go ahead and save this as circle play Java. All right, so now we can start this process. We've got the one method in here. One of the first things we're going to learn how to do is look at this, and we're going to see that this is a public method, and it returns, and it is static, which most of our methods until the final quarter of the course are going to be static. So this is public static, and the return here is void. So there is no return value that we're getting out of this. It's just going to print a greeting, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get the next one. The next one is enter radius, and this is the header that we want to use here. Again, it's public static, so let's go ahead and put this into here. Public static double this time as the return type. And so for this one, we're going to actually go return and stub this out. So when we say stub this out, we want to just create the minimal things necessary in order for this to compile. So over here in enter radius, we're going to do a return of minus 999.0, which is a valid double number. So that's what we're going to return. So we have a valid return value coming back, so that this will compile. So if we compile this, everything is fine. It likes this method because we have a return. This one doesn't need a return, so we're fine with that as well. So let's go on to the next one here, and we'll enter in calculate area. So this one is going to be a public static double again. And so let's go ahead and just paste in the same thing we had before. I'm going to paste in the old one, public static double, and this one we'll call calculate area. And in this method, we're going to have a parameter. It's a single parameter, a double value representing the radius. So we'll have this double value radius in here, or let's call it R on this one. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and return here. We'll return the value minus 888.0. These are meaningless numbers right now, but we're going to get some values that we'll see what's going on with these in a moment here. So we'll return minus 888.0. And then we'll go on and we'll move on to the next one. I think this is another one where we're going to calculate volume. So we'll call this calculate volume. And we're going to also pass it a double radius R. So we'll calculate the volume of a sphere with a given radius. Method header and method block The return statement should be similar to this calculate area. The stub value we're going to return is minus 777. So we're going to return this as minus 777 as the return value. All right. Let's go into there. We'll want to save our work and compile it. These are all what we call stubs, so they're just placeholders for this so that it will run. The other thing we're going to want to do is grab this documentation for each of these methods. So for JavaDoc for methods, what we're going to need to do is, just like the main method, we're going to need to do any parameters that it has. This one does not have one. So, but we're also going to have a return value that describes the type of return value. In this case, it's a double, so we'll put that into there. Similarly, we're going to run into something where here we're going to want to calculate the area. Area based on the given radius. And then we're going to go into here and at param r radius of the circle. And that one we can actually copy this whole JavaDoc comment. We'll paste it into here because that's going to be very similar for the calculate the volume based on the given radius. All right. Double value representing sphere volume using circle area. All right. We'll go ahead and save that. Then we're going to put some JavaDoc up here for this one. Print a greeting. And we don't need anything else because that's a public static void. Notice this is the first time we're actually working with something where we're not actually going to have a main method in this program. So the main method will be in that circle driver. So if we open back up circle driver here, we've got the main method and it's calling circleplay.print greeting. So it's going to call this print greeting method over here in circle play. So now that we've got this compiling, let's make sure that it also passes check style. So this should now pass check style. Let's do a check on check style here. Yes, everything's good here. So we'll go ahead and run this. We can run this from the command line, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right here. So we can see what the command line run will be. I've already got these compiled, so I've got this Java file that I've compiled to the class file. I'm also having compiled, I need to compile the circle driver. So Java C circle driver Java. All right. And now we can go Java circle driver to run it. And we're going to test method 1 here. So per this instructions in the part 2 of the actual piece, we're going to want to do this where we print out the greeting here. So blank line means a new line in that area. So we're going to print this greeting out. In the print greeting, we're going to go in here and do a system out print line and do this piece, and then system out print line, because we want a new line in there. We also want another one of those at the end of it. So we'll go ahead and add that while we're at it. And over here, we're also going to have some message here. This application will cause this to be printed. Okay. So system out print line. And this is a little long, so I'm going to split this to another line so that we don't have any issues with it check style wise. All right. Run check style on this. And we're getting a bad token here because we have not taken into account something here. this and see if we've got any issues. Ah, yes. So we need a parentheses that we missed there. Okay, so that passes compiling, passes check style. Now we're good. Let's go ahead and run this from the command line again. Circle driver 1, and we need to run this one as circle driver over here. Let's compile this there, and then let us run okay. All right, so now we can compile those and run those locally, and we get a test reading here. So if we do the same test for 2, we would get any input values that we had input from a radius standpoint. We haven't implemented that one yet, so let's go back and finish writing that one. So let's enter a radius. So what are we going to do? We're going to want in here, part 3 here asks us to instantiate a scanner using the new keyword. Okay, so what we want to do is we need to import the scanner class at the top of our document first. We're going to go in here and we will do that via an import of a scanner. So we want to import the scanner class. So we want to grab that, import of the scanner class, and then we're going to use the scanner in this enter radius. So we will paste that in here where we're creating a scanner object, and we're going to call it here, let's call this one input. And then we'll say input, and it's a new scanner subsystem.in. Then in here, we're going to write some kind of prompt for the user. So output the prompt, enter the radius. We're going to want a system out print. And then we will want to input dot next double radius equals input dot next double, and we'll return that next double here, or radius value, as our return value here. So let's compile this. Let's run it through check style. Everything's good. This time we're going to run it with the run argument 2. So what you can do here is you can come into here and hit this build and run arguments, and you can actually run the same thing that we were running over here on command line in the terminal, where we type this Java circle driver 2 and then a number. This argument here is the args that are passed to that main. So inside of main here, this idea of string array args, this argument is 2. So we're passing the number 2, which is going to tell this program that we want to run the second test for the enter radius. The second method is what we're trying to test here. So let's go ahead and compile this, and then let's run it. Here, let's compile this one, and let's run it with 2. And this time it's going to ask us to enter a radius, 3, 4, and 5. It's going to enter 3 radius values. So the 3 values we entered were 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0. Okay, that looks pretty good so far. So everything looks like it's working correctly in our enter radius. Let's go to the next piece here, and that is number 4, which is the calculate area method. So for this method, we're going to need to use this formula pi r squared. So what we want to do is set up a double, and we will call this return area. And we'll set declare that. Then we're going to initialize it by saying return area equals pi, or math.pi, which is a constant that's from the math library, times radius squared. So we can either do this as r times r, which is the value here that we're receiving as an argument into this r parameter in the method calculate area. Then we can multiply and use this parameter r in the method and just multiply by r and by r. That would be one way of doing it. The other way we could do this is by using the math.pow. So let's do this one this way with the r values here, just so we can do things twice and show you the different values. So now we'll go ahead and do this, and we'll say return area. I like to, as a best practice, call the return value that I'm going to return the return whatever the thing is. So return area here is the area that we're trying to return back when we actually run this method. So that's the simple method. We're going to do that. We'll check this out here by doing run argument 3, and we're going to run this, and it's going to ask for 3 radiuses at the bottom here, 3, 4, and 5. And if we did this correctly, pi r squared is going to be 9 here times 3.14, and that's going to be 28.274334. That's correct. And same thing for the other two, 4 and 5. So those numbers look good. Let's go back here and finish the last one here in part 4, which is this last one called volume here. So let's finish this volume calculation here. So for this one, we're going to say double return volume. We don't have to call it return volume. We can just call it volume here. So I'll do that as well. And I'm going to actually do this in a different way here. So we'll do this all on one line. Double volume equals, and this is 4/3 O divided by 3.0. 4/3 time, and remember to do those point zeros, or else it will be 4 divided by 3, which is going to equal 1. And you're not going to get the number you wanted to get because of integer division. We need to do a double division here. So times pi, math.pi, times radius cubed. So this time we're going to use the math.pow function, or the power function, math.pow, and we're going to take this r value and we're going to cube it. Because we're going out to 3, it's not going to be smart to keep doing this as r times r times r. That's just a little bit too much typing there. So let's do that, and then let's change this run argument here. Change this, we'll compile our program. Then we're going to go back to the circle driver and we'll run the program. This time we'll go 3, 4, 5. And we're getting our radius here. I think we're still doing this as the radius for the area. So let's go to the 4 here. Let's run this. Okay, 3, 4, 5. And this time the volume is 113. So this is 4/3 pi r cubed. And I think these numbers are correct as well. So that's how we can do this piece of running a program. Make sure your circle driver and your circle play are in the same directory and that you've compiled both of them. That way you can use this program to run the other program. The circle driver is calling the methods over here in circle play, the print greeting, enter radius, the calculate area, and the calculate volume. So again, remember with java.comments, here's how you set up those java.comments. Param r, radius of the circle, at return is the double value representing the sphere volume. So something like that is what you want to do for your actual java.comments. Hopefully this has been helpful. We'll see you in class.